Welcome back to the Realty and Realty. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Cassie.
I'm Nicole.
I'm shy.
And we're serving you the tea in Realty. I found another murder that happened to a real estate person in Connecticut.
Okay.
So I did a bit of research on that. So I guess we'll just dive right in. This case is a lot. It was kind of difficult to dive more into the real estate side of things, but definitely some interesting stuff to listen to. So it's about Andrew Kissel. If you've heard of him, he was born August 23rd, 1959. And as an adult, he dove into the world of real estate development shortly after marrying his wife, Haley Wolf, starting a company called Hanrock and buying up apartment buildings. He served as treasurer for the co-op he lived in, and eventually his partners began asking questions about the expenses being lavished on the building. In 2003, Andrew's partners caught him in a board meeting. Lawyer Michael Assel had mentioned. I know.
Sorry, I'm 12. Take 4.
Andrew had allegedly been creating fake companies to pay for work on the building and sucking up the profit for himself. He'd also opened up a line of credit in the co-op's name and borrowed $2 million using it. He agreed to a quiet settlement to the tune of $4.7 million. Although the co-op agreed not to press charges after the settlement, Andrew was still later charged with grand larceny and more in Manhattan over the money he had taken from the co-op as treasurer. And Kissel has a quote from a magazine that I found, and it says, "I just want to get this over with," Kissel told partners. "I think I need some Valium." It was weeks after the co-op settlement that Robert Kissel was murdered by his wife, Nancy. So his brother was murdered. His brother was murdered by his wife after this whole scheme came out.
Jeez.
So in the weeks after the co-op settlement, that Robert Kissel was murdered by his wife, Nancy. After a complex custody battle, Andrew took custody of Nancy and Robert's 3 young children and moved them into his estate in Greenwich with his and Haley's 2 kids. So, brothers murdered. Not really sure why. I didn't dive into that, but
Something's fishy.
yeah, right. Andrew accelerated his real estate investigating and found more success. After, however, liquidating one of his company's investments in New Jersey without telling his investors. His success, however, couldn't keep up with his spending, and his marriage was suffering both from his obsession with earning more money and his alleged cocaine habit.
That'll do it.
Yeah, deal breaker. At one point in summer of 2004, Haley, his wife, told a friend that she thought Andrew was having an affair and that his business was a Ponzi scheme. About a year later, Andrew was arrested and faced several federal fraud charges, including Manhattan charges related to the co-op. The FBI charged him with $25 million worth of fraud in 3 states. He sold his collection of watches, classic cars, and he was under home confinement by the end of March 2006, when he agreed to the plea deal. On April 1st, movers came and began the process of clearing out Andrew and Haley's belongings. On April 3rd, when they returned in the morning to continue the job, Andrew was dead, tied up with his t-shirt pulled over his head and knife wounds to his back. The basement room was covered in blood, and he initially appeared to have been shot in the head. Because of Andrew's shady financial dealings, as well as a drug habit, police initially had a list of dozens of potential suspects. In fact, just days after his murder, Andrew was scheduled to take a guilty plea on federal charges that he defrauded investors in a series of deals. In exchange for signing a plea agreement, Andrew was looking at 8 to 10 years in prison, and his money had already dried up after his arrest. As much as $40 million of Kissel's fortune may have come from his spree, in quotes, of fraudulent financial dealings. Living in a world of nothing but material possessions, he needed more and more money to feed his excess, to feed that picture in his mind of what success was. In all the cases I've investigated so many times in quest for more money, more possessions, more power, the shortcut means crime. And sadly, that's the road that Andrew Kissel took, says Nancy Grace.
I used to take that road. I could use
40 mil?
Yeah, right.
I'm in the wrong career.
Well, he's in real estate.
Yeah, but like I need to be in the
The
illegal,
fraud, the fraud world of real
the
estate.
legal part of it. It's
His body was found by workers from the moving company. He had been stabbed to death in the basement of the home. The motive for his murder was a mystery, as there were many people who had a problem with him, including those from the U.S. Justice Department, several multi-billion-dollar corporations, and his own wife. Kissel's chauffeur and his cousin were later found guilty in association with the murder. His chauffeur. Kissel was a resident of Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, and later Saddle River, New Jersey. But he had many properties, multiple in Connecticut. So, the fraud charges. From 1995 to 2002, Kissel had been the treasurer of the co-op board at 200 East 74th Street in Manhattan. He had a great deal of autonomy and sole signing authority over the board's bank account. He arranged a refinancing plan to create a reserve fund and pay for renovations to the building, but also siphoned money into his own account, forged statements, and eventually embezzled $3.9 million. When the board confronted him, he confessed and agreed to pay the 4.7. He admitted that he owned the co-op because of the money that he took during the 7 years that he was treasurer. Kissel and his wife, Haley Wolf, were in the process of moving from their Greenwich house in March of 2006. The Kissels were behind in their rent. Their landlord had filed a lawsuit claiming the couple had neglected to pay $14,300 in rent for 6 months. The Kissels had agreed to vacate the premises by March 31st. And then members of a moving crew arrived at the mansion to complete the move and found Kissel's body. Hands and feet were bound in the basement, and he had been stabbed to death. Kissel's chauffeur, I don't even want to say their last names because I just know that I'm going to butcher them.
It's just the chauffeur then.
So Kissel's chauffeur, Carlos, and his cousins Leonard and Jar were arrested in March of 2008 and charged with his death. Police had followed up on a credit card found during the search of Carlos's residence. During the follow-up interview, they were told about the murder plot. According to the prosecution, the motive for the murder was their fear that their involvement in laundering money for Kissel would be exposed. The jury had problems understanding or accepting that theory. Carlos was charged with murder and attempted murder. He was acquitted of the murder charge, but entered a guilty plea to the attempted murder. and received 6 years in prison, followed by deportation to his home country of Colombia. Leonard pleaded guilty to manslaughter and conspiracy to commit murder. He testified against his cousin Carlos and received a sentence of 20 years. The police investigators said, quote, "We knew it was the real deer." Like, why do I even try? Why do I even try? We knew it was the real deal. While scores of law enforcement officials from numerous states played an integral role in the investigation into the murder of Kissel. So it was Inferno and Corticelli who pursued the complex case for over 5 years. Their work led to the cousins, Carlos, 49, of Bridgeport, and Leonard, 24, of Worcester, Mass., being convicted in connection to the crime. He was found on April 3rd, 2006, in his Derry Road home. Kissel was in the process of building a home on 16-acre plot, 38, 48, and 58 Quaker Lane in Greenwich. The property was under construction and not yet finished when Kissel was murdered. The property hit the market for the first time in July 2023, priced at $35 million. The home is beautiful with an equestrian facility on site. The French country-style estate features primary residence as well as a 5-bed, 5-bath residence for guests and staff. The stable can accommodate 12 horses. There are multiple paddocks and a peacock enclosure.
Does it come with a peacock?
I don't know. I guess you could write it into the deal.
Sold.
The property also features an infinity pool, vegetable gardens, fruit orchards, and vineyards.
Oh, damn.
I have pictures. But yeah, if you want to swipe.
Swipe.
I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault.
Oh, that's funny.
It's so nice.
I don't want this better. It's interesting. I don't
What?
want it.
Oh, I think it's cute.
It's different, but
Yeah.
I kind of don't I think that would scare me in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I loved that. And then the kids' bedroom.
That's so cute.
I think that's it. Yeah, so nice. So it doesn't disclose who.
38 Quaker Lane.
Yeah, if you
I'm
want to
coming.
look
Yeah,
it up.
I'll like.
It doesn't say who owns it. Like, it won't say who's selling it and who owns it now. But yeah, crazy. Like, just.
No, it's still on the market.
Yeah. Nobody has money like that right now.
35 mil? What do you mean?
Pocket change.
Literally. I'll buy that right now.
All right, well, we'll go move in with you.
I'm too tall for the Jeep bed, so.
Oh, I'll stay in the guest house.
Now can you imagine be like, oh, the guest house is still 5-bed, 5-bath.
I know, I wonder what it looks like. Yeah. I wonder if there's pictures of it.
Probably. I'm not on this.
Yeah, I didn't even look. I was like rushing to like get all of that together this morning because I fell asleep last night. Like, An
Sorry,
idiot.
I don't
No, you're
I've been
fine.
yawning the whole time. I did one and I couldn't stop, and I was like,
I'm glad I wasn't looking at you because I would have done the same thing.
I'm gonna make a fucking TikTok of all the yawns.
Oh, there you
Yawn
go.
compilation. These bitches need a nap.
That's what happens when you party hard.
Yeah.
Stay
We're
out.
covering.
What time
That's
did you
what
get
Wes said.
home?
1:30.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Wes was like, you want to party with big dogs? You gotta get up and work with big dogs. I'm like, I partied with a sick
Like,
baby.
literally. Fucking children.
So yeah, that's all I got. Andrew Kissel. He was murdered. His brother was murdered.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs and don't steal money from co-ops.
If you're gonna, at least, I don't know,
Be better
Yeah.
at it.
be better.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to not notice $3 million go missing. It's a lot of money. Although I guess over the period of time that he took it, but
In the amount of money that was probably being dealt with in general,
Yeah, like if you can take $3 million from a co-op,
it's probably.
well, it was in Manhattan.
but like, what's
Yeah,
it? Isn't a
that's-
co-op like a
It's like an apartment building.
Yeah.
yeah?
But they're probably bringing in like so much.
To live in Manhattan, the rent
Yeah.
in that
Yeah,
place
that's
is
true.
extreme. That's like all the business people. They can afford that shit.
Good for him. He's
Good for
fucking
him. He
dead.
died. Got killed by a chauffeur.
Yeah.
Hope it was worth it. So yeah, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for joining us. Follow us on social media.
Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, not Twitter,
Not Twitter.
Anything but Twitter.
R.I.P. Twitter.
X.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.